I think I was officially introduced to theater in middle school. I had this really great English teacher who was kind of different than everyone else there. I went to an agriculture school, and she kind of recruited me for a one-act play competition, and I ended up falling in love with it, and I've been involved ever since. I actually went to SCAD for grad school. I applied for undergrad and I got in and swiftly realized that I could not afford it. And so I went to undergrad at Georgia Southern. I'm kind of an introvert, so I kind of got into theater in undergrad just kind of hanging around the theater students. I was scared to major in theater because my parents were not very supportive of it. So I kind of took the cheat way out and majored in communications. As far as SCAD is concerned, I actually didn't make that decision until I had to make a decision on what I was going to do post undergrad, and I just applied the last day it was due, and I got in somehow. So, took out lots of loans, got a few scholarships, and that's where I got my MFA. I don't know, I just kind of hung around all the theater students. I joined the theater clubs. I was stage managing, doing props, assistant directing. I was kind of nervous to get in front. My mentor, he was just like, why have you auditioned for one of my shows? And I did, and then I kind of started doing theater, and I was usually involved in every production in some way or format. It was my first grown-up job, as I like to call it. I did an assistantship at SCAD. I did Upward Bound every summer, so I would teach the theater courses there. So I've done a lot in theater at other places, but this was the first one that was just like, hey, you're a grown-up. We expect to see you here every day. Here's some benefits. So I don't know, the stars aligned somehow, because the day that I was gonna move back home with my parents, that day that I drove back home to move in, I got a call from Savannah State. SCAD didn't have a lot of, SCAD didn't have any black theater. So when I first went to grad school, I contacted the theater professor here and just asked could I volunteer for some of their productions, and I did. And so they still had my information on file, so they called me right like a week before classes started, and they were just kind of like, I hope you have your MFA, and I was like, yes, I do. And so I came in the next day for an interview. I was hired temporarily right off the bat, and that's kind of where it began. And I've been here now almost 10 years. I think when I first got here, it was a bit of a shock. My students were very much used to looking at theater as an extracurricular activity. I think my students weren't taking the classes as serious as they took the productions. I think everyone's focus at that point, at least the crop of students that I was introduced to, was just about the show. It was one of those things where they thought, well, I'm the lead in the show, I don't have to come to class every day. And so what I had, as far as my teaching theory, I believe that you train the students the way it would be in the professional world. So, in the professional world, no one says, oh, you're doing something else, you don't have to do this part of your life. So what I did is I came in, I was very strict, and I'm very focused on academics. It's not just about the performance. So that's something that's very important to me. I just want them to understand that they're here to be students first. And yeah, you get this great opportunity to do these shows and meet great people and learn a lot, but it's important that they do the best they can in academia before they go into the performance aspect.